Today we're going to be making a recipe called spaghetti timpano from 1837 from the cookbook Cucina Teorica Pratica by Ippolito Cavalcanti, the Duke of Monvicino. Let's run through the ingredients. We're going to start off with 10 grams of lard, and some of this is going to be used to grease the pan, and the rest of it goes on top of the spaghetti. We want to have a 9-inch or 23 centimeter pan with high sides. So that greases the pan, and then we put breadcrumbs on top of that, 50 grams of breadcrumbs, which I make from my sourdough bread. Then we have the spaghetti. I like this brand De Rosa, which is a commercial brand that I can get in my supermarket, but it is very high quality, 500 grams of this spaghetti. With the anchovies, you want to take 4 of them to be cooked in a pan with a 1/4 cup of olive oil. I actually prefer more than 4, but a low tolerance would be 4. And then for the middle layer of the timpano, we also have chopped anchovy. Again, I would put in a few more. I have 6 here, which would be the minimum. The next ingredient then is parsley. Get a good bunch of parsley. I like a lot of it. Then we have capers, 40 grams of chopped capers or whole capers as you prefer. They do pack quite a punch. You'll want to desalt them a little bit. Then we have 100 grams of chopped pitted, salt-cured olives. And then our fish is 270 grams of fresh cod that's been sort of cut up into strips. Along with the capers, olives, and anchovies, this fish is going to be put into the center layer, so it doesn't need to be too artistic. Our first step is to deal with the pasta. Again, I have this 500 grams of very good quality pasta, and I'm going to set it to boil, after which I will start to deal with some of the other ingredients. So while my pasta is on the boil, I have dissolved the anchovies in about a 1/4 cup of olive oil. Continue cooking the pasta until it's a little less than al dente. So you want it to be a bit hard, and then add the parsley into this pan here. Preheat the oven to 200 degrees Celsius. That would be 390 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, while the pasta is boiling, you'll have time to grease the pan with the lard, and then put in the breadcrumbs. Just tap them around, turning the pan continuously, and they will stick to the fat. The use of lard in this dish is, though minimal, interesting because it was meant as a dish for a lean day or a fasting day, of which there were many on the Christian calendar when meat was not allowed. So the fact that it was lined with lard and then there's another layer that goes over the top of the pasta is an interesting oversight. I've drained the pasta and tossed it with the parsley, anchovies, and olive oil, so now we're ready to construct the dish. It may seem like there's an awful lot of pasta here, but it's actually all going to fit into this pan, even with the layering. So we start by putting in a lower layer of the pasta, about half of what's in the pan, because the other half's going to go on top. If your hands are as heat resistant as mine, you can tap this down with your hands. You want it to be relatively compact. We'll start building up the middle layer with the capers. Again, you can leave them whole or chop them up. Distribute them relatively evenly around and then press them in. We'll move on then to the anchovies. The anchovies should be chopped and then distribute them. So because we're using all of these salty foods, be sure that you keep that in mind when you're making the pasta, and only put in a little bit of salt into the water. The next part of our build is going to be the salt-cured black olives, not the sweeter olives that come out of a can. Put them on and then press them down into the pasta. And now let's prepare to put the fish on. In the recipe itself, it doesn't specify which kind of fish to put on. So I've chosen this cod. It's got a very delicate kind of taste, which I think will be good together with the stronger tastes of the olives and capers with the anchovies. The recipe also doesn't specify putting in any kind of garlic, onion, or pepper, which I think might be a nice addition to this recipe. So you decide how flexible you want to be or how historically accurate. Now that we have pressed the fish in, let's put on our final layer, which is going to be the final layer of spaghetti. At this point, it's completely manageable with your hands. Just pick it up from the pan and then press it in. Again, you want this dish to be relatively compact, so go ahead and press right down on all of the pasta, making sure that you get the edges in very nicely so that it's solid and compact. This next step may scare some people away, but try to be patient. It calls to have the lard painted onto the top, but this is going to help with the browning of the breadcrumbs that are put on as a final layer so that they get crispy. If you want, you can substitute butter or olive oil. The final layer is breadcrumbs then. Cover the top and they will get mixed in then with the fat, whichever one you choose, and that will help them get brown and crispy. So this is the layer then that will get flipped over, and you'll have at the end a lower layer that's going to be crispy, as well as the edges and the top. Press down, and we're ready to go into the oven. Our timpano has been in the oven for half an hour, and after 10 minutes I tented the top of it so that it wouldn't get too brown. Just have it loosely tented. And now I've got a crispy crust and I'm going to prepare to flip it over. Here's our moment of truth. We're going to flip it over. Ready? And there we go. As we take this off, a lot of steam is going to come out. And there it is, nicely browned. And it's got a lovely crispy edge to it. Let me pull in for a closer view so you can see the lines of the spaghetti on top and then the breadcrumbs. Once I've cut it open, you can see the two layers of spaghetti as well as the flavorful layer with the olives, anchovies, capers, and the fish. This is a dish that's best eaten on the same day, so have a lot of people over. Buon appetito!